Many mamas I work with want an epidural for their birth, but they don't want it to come at the cost of tearing. Today I'll share 3 simple tips that have helped hundreds of my clients to give birth with an epidural while protecting their body from tearing. And the last tip is the one that nobody knows about unless they're prepared, so make sure you stay until the end. Tip number 1 is off your mama's back. A lot of moms think that if they're getting an epidural, they will necessarily have to give birth on their back, which is a position that's increasing your risk of tearing. When your baby comes through your pelvis, the sacrum bone needs to go back. And if you're lying right on your back, it doesn't allow for your sacrum to do that movement. So that's why we want to allow mobility of your sacrum as much as possible so that it can do that tilt backward. So thinking about what other positions could I use if I'm unable to move that would allow that sacrum bone to be free? Side lying, right? Because when you're side lying, your sacrum bone can still move out of the way. And the second option would be, if you were on your back, to have little rolls under your bum cheek so that your sacrum has a little bit of space under your back to tilt backward. And also raise the head of the bed a little bit to invite more gravity into the picture so that baby can move down even though you're theoretically on your back, but it's going to be more gravity assisted that way. And by the way, if you're terrified of tearing, I've got a free tearing risk screener in the description below. In just a minute, you can find out if you're at high risk of tearing or low risk of tearing and what your next step is to decrease your risk. Tip number 2 is don't push buttons. And you'll know what that means as we go through this point. Side lying and lying on your back with the little rolled towels might not be the only positions available to you, depending on the type of epidural that you'll get. I like to compare the epidural to a sound system. If you have the standard epidural, the one that most people think about when they think of an epidural, it would mean that your sound is cranked up and that you wouldn't hear anything else in the room. So it basically cuts any sensations, any body awareness to not feel anything. Now there's another epidural called walking epidural, where you can still feel a little bit in your legs. You might be able to move. That's the goal, is to reduce the pain from the contractions while allowing you to still move around. So this one, if you're taking the sound system, you would be basically able to still hear a little bit in the room if people were talking to you, but the volume would not be all the way cranked up. And an additional feature with the walking epidural is what they call the PCEA button. What this button does is it allows you to control the volume on your sound system, so that if you need more pain relief, you can just press the button and it's going to administer more medication through the epidural. So what I would recommend in terms of decreasing your risk of tearing when you're pushing is, first, if you can have the walking epidural to allow for more positions, of course, take that option, because we want to use gravity as much as possible, and it might help you to feel a bit more what's going on so that when it's time to push, you can push with your contractions as opposed to be completely dependent on your care providers to know when to push and where to push. Because when we don't know what's going on, it's really hard to be effective in our pushing. And we might do a lot of unnecessary pushing that could create more tearing and more pelvic damage in the long run. So having a little bit of sensation and resisting the temptation to push that button over and over. And of course, you can't push it more than a certain amount, right? They're gonna give you a certain amount of time before you can push the button again. But if you're always topping yourself up, you're not gonna feel anything, and it's gonna be really hard to be effective in your pushing stage. So what I would recommend is to discuss with your provider ahead of time and ask them, is the walking epidural available in the setting I'm gonna give birth in? And is the little push button available to control the dosage? Because I've had clients in different countries who said, you know what, Sophie, I discussed with my provider as you suggested, and they said that it's not available. So that allowed them to make a different plan in their mind before they got in the birth room. Tip number 3 is no rest for the wicked. And what I mean by that is that your practice for pushing with an epidural starts now. I don't know if you play an instrument, but I play the guitar, and when I started playing guitar, I had to look at my fingers to make sure that I was doing the right chord. So I was like, oh yeah, that's a C-shaped chord, that's a G, and I would keep looking to make sure that my fingers were at the right place. And with practice, eventually I was able to play my chords without looking. So it's the same when you're pushing with an epidural. We know that you're going to have less feedback because your body sensation will be reduced. Even if you have the walking epidural and the push button, we can expect that the sensation down there is not going to be the same as if you didn't have it, right? That's the goal of having it, is you want to have a bit more comfort. So it comes at the cost of removing some feedback. And so you need to practice this ahead of time, right? Because otherwise, how are you going to know if your pushes are actually being sent towards your baby so that your baby is going to move down, right? You're not going to feel that direct feedback when you're pushing. So that's why I highly recommend that you start practicing now so that you feel confident in your pushing stage, that your pushing stage also doesn't last for hours, right? Then that baby can move down effectively. And also that you don't need so much coaching to push. Because what will happen if you're not sure how to do it is your provider will look at you and be like, oh, like, let's coach her because she doesn't know how to push and that baby is not moving down. And then they'll say, okay, now hold your breath and push for 10 seconds. That's what we call Valsalva coach pushing. And I've reviewed this in another video of mine, but this increases your risk of tearing if you're pushing like this for your entire pushing stage. We need to walk into that birth room feeling like we know what we're doing and that we have connection with that pushing. Otherwise, we will default to what can increase your risk of tearing, which is Valsalva coach pushing. So if you want to learn how to practice these techniques, you can watch this video next. I'm going in details about practicing this while you still have your body's sensations so that you can feel extra confident and push that baby like a pro, even if you have an epidural. I hope this was helpful, and thanks so much for watching.